Why Pepsi failed in China? The untold story. Imagine a world where Pepsi dominates every market. It's a brand recognized globally, a symbol of refreshment and youth. But in one of the largest consumer markets on earth, China, Pepsi struggled to win. Why? This is the fascinating story of Pepsi's failure in China, a tale of missed opportunities, cultural missteps, and strategic errors. A grand entrance with high hopes. Back in the 1980s, when China opened its doors to global businesses, Pepsi saw a golden opportunity. Coca-Cola had already entered China and was expanding rapidly. Pepsi wanted a piece of the pie, and they had a solid plan, or so they thought. They launched massive advertising campaigns, sponsored major events, and even tailored their branding to appeal to the Chinese market. But despite these efforts, something wasn't working. Coca-Cola was leading the race, while Pepsi lagged behind. What went wrong? The cultural missteps, a costly blunder. One of Pepsi's biggest mistakes was misunderstanding Chinese culture. They launched a bold new slogan, "Come alive, you're in the Pepsi generation." It sounded exciting in English, full of energy and youth. But when translated into Chinese, it took on an entirely different and shocking meaning. Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the dead. For a culture that deeply respects its ancestors, this was a massive blunder. Imagine seeing an ad that suggests a soft drink has supernatural powers over the afterlife. While Coca-Cola focused on blending in with Chinese traditions and values, Pepsi's marketing felt out of touch, almost offensive. The pricing and distribution war, the silent killer. Pepsi positioned itself as a premium brand, slightly more expensive than Coca-Cola. This might have worked in Western markets, but in China, affordability and accessibility mattered more. Coca-Cola understood this and ensured that its products were available everywhere. Small shops, supermarkets, even remote villages. Pepsi, on the other hand, struggled with distribution. They partnered with local bottlers, but their network was weaker than Coca-Cola's. In many areas, people simply couldn't find Pepsi, making it harder for the brand to establish loyalty. Even if someone preferred Pepsi, what good was that if they couldn't easily buy it? Marketing that didn't click. Lost in translation. Pepsi relied heavily on Western-style advertising, flashy commercials, celebrity endorsements, and modern imagery. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola embraced a different approach. They focused on traditional values, family moments, and emotional storytelling, which resonated deeply with Chinese consumers. During Chinese New Year, Coca-Cola ran heartfelt ads showing families coming together over a bottle of Coke. Pepsi's ads, in comparison, felt too foreign, too Western, and failed to connect emotionally with local audiences. In China, emotions sell more than excitement. Coca-Cola knew this. Pepsi didn't. The inevitable downfall. A hard lesson. Learned over time, Pepsi realized they couldn't beat Coca-Cola in China. By the late 2000s, they made a drastic decision. Instead of competing head-on, they sold their bottling operations to a local Chinese company. Today, Pepsi is still present in China, but as a much smaller player compared to its fierce rival. The lesson learned: adapt or fail. Pepsi's failure in China wasn't due to a lack of effort. It was a case of misunderstanding the market. While Coca-Cola adapted, localized, and understood Chinese consumer behavior, Pepsi relied too much on a Western approach. This story serves as a powerful lesson. No matter how big a brand is, if it doesn't adapt, it won't survive. So what do you think? Could Pepsi ever make a comeback in China? Or has Coca-Cola already won the war for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments.